So we'll talk about Eurovision Song Contest, the Story of Fire Saga. Rated PG-13, 2 hours, 3 minutes, musical comedy musical. It came out Friday, June 26th. The synopsis is when inspiring musicians Lars and Sigrit are given the opportunity to represent their country at the world's biggest song competition, they finally have a chance to prove that any dream worth having is a dream worth fighting for. Okay. Lars is played by Will Ferrell. Sigrit is played by Rachel McAdams. It's directed by David Dobkin, who might not be a household name, but he's directed some of your favorite movies, like The Change Up, Fred Claus, Wedding Crashers, Shanghai Nights, and the announced Wedding Crashers 2, which, fucking A, dude, I don't think we need a Wedding Crashers 2. And I love Wedding Crashers. We don't need a Wedding Crashers 2. I don't see any reasonable way that is going to be fulfilling, especially after watching Anchorman 2. I liked Anchorman 2, not as nearly as funny as Anchorman 1. It just wasn't. And I think Will Ferrell got a lot of pressure to do Anchorman 2 and finally succumbed to it, some 8-9 years after the fact. And I think people are still, I guess they're going to succumb to the pressure to do Wedding Crashers 2. I just don't see it. I just don't see how it's going to work. And I think ultimately it's going to be a disappointment. But who am I? Who am I? It's written by Will Ferrell, who wrote Anchorman, Step Brothers, Ricky Bobby, Daddy's Home, Get Hard, the other guys. Safe to say that I don't think Will Ferrell has had, I guess you could say Daddy's Home, but it's been 5 years since Daddy's Home. And before Daddy's Home, I guess you'd say the other guys, 2010. So in the past decade, he's had 2 comedy hits. I mean, but Anchorman, Step Brothers, Ricky Bobby, a trio of hits in the first decade, along with some other movies that I would classify Wedding Crashers falls under his domain because he had an amazing cameo in that. So that was a rough decade, it was a tough decade for Will Ferrell. And I would not put this movie in the same realm as those other movies. I just wouldn't. It was also written by Andrew Steele, who is a SNL writer, much like David Sears. So like I said, Will Ferrell's Lars, Rachel McAdams is Sigrit, Dan Stevens, who is in that TV show on FX called Legion, which I liked. I liked season 1. I did not watch season 2, but he plays Alexander Lemtov, Russian singer. And then Pierce Brosnan plays Will Ferrell's dad, even though he's only 13 years older than Will Ferrell. And Demi Lovato plays Katiana, who is like the favorite to win the Swedish, to be the Swedish delegate in Eurovision. And then Graham Norton plays himself as the broadcaster, the announcer. Critics' consensus: Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga, contains inspired ingredients and laugh-out-loud moments, but they're outnumbered by the flat stretches in the overlong comedy. I'm not going to argue with that. 60% of critics gave it a favorable review with a 5.76 out of 10 average rating. And then 80% of the audience gave it a favorable review with a 4.02 out of 5 rating. I would put it somewhere in the middle, probably closer to the critics, closer to 60 than an 80 for sure. Here's what some of the top critics said: more tribute than parody. This over-egged farce whips slapstick and cheese into an authentic souffle of tastelessness. That guy was hungry or high when he wrote that. I say guy, but it might have been a woman. I didn't mark it down, dude. But I agree for the most part. I think for me, it's like I had no clue that this is an actual real thing. That's how American I am. That's like American through and through. No idea that and I'm not like super into music either, so that probably explains a lot. But like, this is apparently, after doing some research after watching it, because I didn't do any going into it, I was just like, this is a made up thing that's going to poke fun at European music and has Will Ferrell. Sold. What more do I need to do? Not knowing that it's an actual real competition that Will Ferrell actually has been attending yearly since like 2014. It felt like it was not so much poking fun at it as it was paying tribute to it. So Another critic said it's barely a movie at all, but at the same time, if this prevented a third Daddy's Home from making its cursed way into our world, then I suppose it was a worthwhile endeavor. Yikes. Yeah, I mean, I was disappointed by Daddy's Home too. I'll say it. I know sequels are tough. It's tough to get, especially with comedies, to get a sequel that's better than the first. But I mean, Jesus Christ, had Mel Gibson as a dad and John Lithgow as a dad. How do you go wrong with that? I wouldn't say it was horrendous, but it was just like, how do you make Daddy's Home 2 before you make Wedding Crashers 2 or Step Brothers 2 or like all Ricky Bobby 2? Very interesting. Like I said, Will Ferrell's interest began with his Swedish wife, Vivica Paulin, who took him to her cousin's house in May of '99, and the family turned him on to the competition. So it's actually been longer than 2014. But in 2014, he traveled to Denmark to watch the finale, in which I don't know, some person was crowned winner. He attended the 2018 Eurovision contest in Portugal, and the film. I mean, this is part of it. Is like, while you're watching it, you're seeing all these people and you're like, who are these people? It feels like they're important, but I have no clue who they are. My wife and I had the same reaction. It was just like, okay, this feels bigger than what it is to me right now. Yeah, I recognize that it was supposed to be like, okay, are these people that we should know? And it turns out, yeah, it was all like people who have appeared on the Eurovision contestants from years gone by. In that song along, which was like, that song along, dude. My wife was like, they're ripping off Pitch Perfect. And I was like, I think Pitch Perfect didn't invent the song along. It's just the first time that maybe we saw the song along on the big screen, that maybe like a cappella groups do this on Saturday nights. I don't know. But this is what musicians do. They just get together and just crank out the tunes. This movie started off so on fire, red hot, magma lava. Like, so good, because it had, it had the flashback to like 1974 Sweden, where it was just like, we see where Lars and Sigrit kind of fall in love with music. And it's like, okay. Which even that threw me off, because it's like, I know for a fact that Will Ferrell is much older than Rachel McAdams, but yet Rachel McAdams was like a few years younger than Will Ferrell in that flashback to 1974, which would have meant that Rachel McAdams' character Sigrit should be in her early 50s in this movie. I think they were leaning on the fact that it's possible that certain like Icelandic women their youth is preserved for so much longer because of the cold. Like, is that like a thing amongst Icelandic women? It's like they don't look their age because of being outdoors and in nature for so long, and maybe that applies to just all Icelandic people, not just women. I don't know, but like that again, that math. Whenever there's a flashback and I have to do the math, it cripples me. It's like I'm like, I cannot detach myself from that math and think like 74 to 2020, like that, carry the one. It's like, then he would be this age, but that would mean that she is this age. It's just bad. It's bad. Just don't even put a year on it. I get it. It's a flashback. Don't put a year on it. I can tell by the way people dress. And just give me a nice little video, like a video transition, a wipe or something, and I'll pick up on it. Just don't put a number out there. Lars and Sigrit's respective last names are Erickssong and Ericksdottir, which mean Erick's son and Erick's daughter. A running joke in the film is that Lars is not sure if his father Erick is also Sigrit's father, making them brother and sister. So that was an ongoing joke. And then, of course, like, spoiler alert, the punchline at the end is that they end up being like stepbrother and stepsister. These headphones are now pointless. They don't work. So that's that. Peace out. At least with this microphone. So I don't even know if people can hear me. Cool. But from that flashback, we go to an amazing music video with Will Ferrell dressed as like a Thor-esque type Viking character with like a moon bloodgood type eyeshadow that goes across his eyes. And Rachel McAdams is in like this amazing getup and garb and whatnot. And the song is unbelievable. And like that set the tone for me. And that was like, okay, that set a very high expectation for me. That was like, this movie is gonna might be one of the best comedies of at least 2020, but of the decade of all time. And then it just kind of petered out from there. So it ended up being, it tugged at your emotional heartstrings towards the end. And I think there was more of an emotional component to it than most, Will Ferrell comedies where it's just all gags and silly. But it would have been nice if they were able to maintain that comedic tone throughout. And I mean, they tried. I mean, with Lemtov, the Russian singer played by Dan Stevens or whatever, his like Lion Love song was, emblematic of his character, and it represented his character very well. And I think there were some elements of it that were funny, but at the same time, that was another thing I didn't understand. And like, I just didn't understand Eurovision Song Contest flat out. Just didn't understand it. I don't understand how you have to do the same song. Like you're only allowed to do one song. And so if you get from the semifinals to the finals, you can't do a different song in between. Like you have to do the same song in the finals as you do in the semifinals. What is the point of that? How are you going to get better or do worse? And you have to do it the same way, I think, unless I'm mistaken. I don't know. It's like, that seems like a pretty dumb rule. IMHO. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it was, I don't know, our friend that came over that one Friday watched it with us and she fell asleep. And there was like the ya ya ding dong sequence. Okay, that was funny. Like that big heavy set fat guy just repeatedly saying ya ya ding dong, ya ya ding dong. Yeah, okay, that got me. I do not buy Pierce Brosnan as like an Icelandic dude at all. I think he struggled with that accent. Like him getting married to Sigrit's mother at the end, and then like Lars and Sigrit have a baby at that point. Like, so now you're married to your stepsister. That kind of was very Brady Bunch esque, I guess. But also like Will Ferrell, who's an American, shitting on the Americans that he comes across throughout the movie, and just like, like when he goes all in on them at the end. And then they like throw up the American flag next to Will Ferrell's name. I thought that was good, but yeah, the funny jokes and they didn't really land. The funny moments, just weren't quite there. So a little bit of a disappointment, but I mean the songs were pretty good. You know, I was hoping for. I guess I was hoping for more songs though. One critic compared it to A Mighty Wind, which I haven't seen. But like, I remember going into this, I was thinking, okay, this is going to be a mockumentary on par with Spinal Tap, Best in Show, those kind of movies, and not quite. A lot of promise, a lot of potential that wasn't completely realized.